Hello and welcome to another video review. This is Jazz Jackrabbit for DOS. This is an action platformer developed by Epic Mega Games back in the early 90s, and it's based on a character by someone you wouldn't really expect it to be by. Cliff Bleszinski, aka Cliffy B, as he's more commonly known, even though he wants to get rid of that nickname. But he's famous for the Unreal franchise and the Gears of War franchise especially. So it's kind of interesting to see this early Cliffy B stuff being so, I guess, childish and amusing more than like aggro and brutal and hardcore and all this kind of stuff. Now at the time the graphics were about average, I guess I could say, but Doom had been released the year before, and so that kind of set the bar high for graphics in that particular sense. But it was for a first-person shooter, and platform games they had never really cared about these amazing graphics, although it actually did have some pretty good ones. Now, the sprite work is well done, the animations are pretty nice. Now, I will say that they're a little bit jerky, I guess you could say. But, I mean, that's to be expected. It's a 1994 game. It's not like it had a lot available to them at the time. But the art style is really what sells this game, because it's just this really wacky, cartoony art style that really kind of sucks you into this atmosphere of just having fun. And that's really the point of the game. I mean, you go in there and you fully expect it to be just silly and fun and just all over the place. And that's exactly what it is, especially with the art style. Now, the sound design is a little bit of a mixed bag. The sound effects themselves work fine. They're not particularly great, but they work just fine. I mean, that's pretty much what platform games do. They don't have amazing sound effects. They just have good ones. But other things, they have actually a little bit of voice acting in this. It's mostly limited to Jazz himself. And he kind of talks like, "Yeah, what's up, Doc?" Now, you kind of expect that. I mean, he's like a badass version of Bugs Bunny, but anyway. But it's really hard to understand what he's saying. So it kind of gets a little bit on your nerves when he'll sit there and say something and you'll be like, what did he just say? And it'll take you many, many times to actually understand it. But what really, really brings the sound design up is the music, which is amazing. They call it acid jazz, and it's this really weird mix of kind of like a pop, funk, techno weirdness. It really can't be described. You have to kind of hear it to understand what I'm saying. But you get to listen to these tracks, and it's just like, oh yeah, we're just having fun now. And because it gives off this vibe of both this kind of fun, cartoony experience, as well as this kind of atmospheric stuff. Like, for instance, the level Medievo. It's this kind of dark castle and thing, and it's actually got music to really give off that feel, although it's still cartoony and still fun. And so that's kind of what the music conveys. And the gameplay is a little bit weird, but I'll get to that in a moment. Basic story is you play as Jazz Jackrabbit, who has to rescue the princess Eva Earlong from the evil turtle Devon Shell. And that's a pretty simple storyline. It's kind of fairy tale-esque, but at the same time it's kind of superhero cartooniness. But that's the idea. But anyway, gameplay itself is a little bit weird. You play, and it's your typical action platformer of run around, jump on things, shoot stuff. But it's done at the speed level of Sonic the Hedgehog. So you'll end up going ridiculously fast, and then all of a sudden you'll have to stop because there's like 10 enemies in your way, and so you have to blast through them and then keep going. And so it's this really weird hybrid of just stop, go, stop, go, stop, go that really kind of gets on your nerves. But and then in between different episodes, well, not episodes, levels, sorry, because there's, I think, 6 episodes. But between different levels, you'll have the opportunity to go through a bonus stage where you collect gems. And so, you get bonus points for that and everything. But it's done in like a third-person, over-the-shoulder kind of perspective. It's weird, but it works pretty well, actually. But anyway, level design is pretty well done. I would say that a few levels are a little bit weird, but they're meant to be weird. They're meant to be challenging and just all over the place. And they pull that off very well, actually. The main problem with the game is the fact that it's so speed-based, because you'll have to keep stopping and going, stopping and going, stopping and going. But where this fits into December is there are 2 versions that have been released as freeware called Holiday Hair. And you have the first one, which takes place, and it's got like giant blue bulldogs and stuff. And the second one has these really weird cat things going around. But it's Holiday Hair and Holiday Hair 95. And those were both released as freeware around Christmas time, and people just downloaded that and played it for the holidays and stuff. And they're pretty well done Jazz Jackrabbit stuff in their own right. I mean, it's done by Epic Mega Games. They knew what they were doing with these. But it still has the same exact problems that the original game did, and that's the fact that you just have to keep stopping to blast through things, or try to jump over them, but you'll always fail for some reason. Because you can never see them coming, so you have to kind of, like, you know, edge along unless you know the level all the way through. But overall, I would say Jazz Jackrabbit has its flaws, but it is still a very fun game. And if you play it for one thing, play it for the music, because the music is just phenomenal. I mean, Alexander Brandon did a phenomenal job with the music. But it is a shareware game that you can get the full game from their website, but you have to pay, I think it's either $10 or $15 for it. They also made a semi-remake for the Game Boy Advance, but it's really not a lot like this game at all. They've done a completely different art style. It plays very differently, you know, all this kind of stuff. They also released a sequel, and they tried to make a third game, but that was never released. The proof of concept alpha is still online somewhere, but it was supposed to be Jazz Jackrabbit 3, or 3D, whatever you want to call it. But it was done like kind of like a Super Mario 64 or whatever it is. But basically, Jazz Jackrabbit is a fun game. I'm kind of surprised they haven't returned to it. But I'll put a link to the shareware in the video description box, so you can check it out if you want to. It does require DOSBox, so just keep that in mind. But I do recommend it. It is a fun little game that will keep you entertained for quite a while.